Hi there. My name is Douglas. I'm representing the Connection Partners and grokkingwholeness.info. Grokkingwholeness.info. I encourage you to please go to the website, check us out, like us, and subscribe to the website. Okay? Just a request to everybody here. And I'm doing a presentation today calling Mindfulness and the Path of Wholesome Living. And I'm just going to jump right into this, further introduce myself, what I'm doing today, the purpose, all that good stuff. So let me get into the share mode on this. And jump right into this. Okay, mindfulness and the path of wholesome living. Let me move my picture up a little bit so it doesn't disturb anything here. I think this is good. Okay, about me, I'm a licensed mental health counselor. I just retired from my profession, early from my jobs, after 45 years in the profession as a licensed mental health counselor. I am the owner and clinical director of a center for wellness. You see my logo right here. I spent 23 years working in the field of child protection for Help a Child Incorporated. I was a consultant on child abuse and neglect cases, and that's all a part of what I'm doing here, essentially. You'll see how this evolves. I'll be talking about this as we go along. After 23 years in the field of child protection, I incorporated a center for wellness. It's a forensic counseling center. All my clients were court ordered into my center, most of them for domestic violence, but for other violent offenses. For the domestic violence, they're court ordered for 29 weeks. 29 weeks of group practice. It's intense, very intense work. I retired from a Center for Wellness, as I said, last year in 2024, to really begin my real work, what I'm called here to do with the Connection Partners and grokkingwholeness.info. Grokking Wholeness. Grokking comes from the book called Stranger in a Strange Land by Robert Heinlein. To grok is to know something profoundly and experientially, intellectually, but beyond the intellect, beyond the cognitive, it's emotionally and intuitively. This is heart-centered knowing. So a lot of this presentation will be about heart, bringing it into our hearts, really living centered in our wholeness. At a Center for Wellness, I used a model with the people. It was mostly men that were court ordered into the practice for domestic violence, but not just men. There was a separate group for women. When I retired in 2024, I had 140 men in my practice in groups, again, 29-week groups, and one group of women. We also had the only Spanish-speaking group in the county. The model I use, one of two models, was called Roots and Wings Way of Wholeness. And here is one of the symbols for it, as you see on here. It's a Taoist model, the yin and yang, which I will explain a little bit more. This is one of two models I use. I also use the state certified model, which is called the power and control model. I've talked about this in a prior video. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about the power and control model. Let me continue on with this. Let's see here. This is supposed to be advancing. If I get it to do that. There we go. This is the entire model that I used. I'm not going to go into it, so don't worry about it. It's way too long to go into the details. This is the model, Roots and Wings Way of Wholeness model. And you'll see what I'll highlight here is the mantra of the group. You see it in the model itself. The mantra of the group is health, whole, holy, home. This is a health-related group experience. So this really invited the clients, I like to call them clients, it invited them into the group process because it was about their health as wholeness, as holiness, and then bringing it home to their intimate partner, to their family, to their children, to their community, and even beyond. This is the model that I used. Roots and Wings Way of Wholeness model. This is the skeleton of the model, just to make it a little bit more clear. It's based on the Taoist model, the yin and yang, which I'm sure you've seen before. The people in the groups are learning to balance, to really embrace their yin and yang energies and personality traits. I don't equate this with their gender. We each are a balance of yin and yang energies and personality traits. The yin is our receptive energies and traits. It's our aspect of being. It's our aspect of nature. It's our essence. And the yang is our active energies and traits, our aspect of doing and having. It could be looked at as our ego. This is a balance. Neither of them are right, neither of them are wrong. We each have this within us. It's a matter of finding the balance. Most of the people that are court-ordered into my groups were yang dominant. We live in a yang dominant culture, and they learn about themselves individually, but they also learn about the cultural context. We are trying to achieve balance, not just individually, but as a culture now, to address the polycrises that we're faced with as a humanity. It's not just the United States, it's not just Florida, it's humanity, it's species-wide. There's a yin and yang. It's called roots and wings. So there's a balance horizontally between our yin and yang energies and personality traits, but there's also a balance vertically between our roots and our wings. Roots is our connection. We are connected. We are one with each other. We are one with the living earth. And we are one with Source, as each may know and name it. And the balance of that, we also learn about our wings, our authentic power. And I've got a whole nother lesson that I'll be doing on a video in the future about developing our authentic power, power to achieve our potential, power to break out of an unhealthy relationship as we need to, the power to achieve our greatness, our wholeness, rather than power over another person. Again, this is a health-related model. Many of the people that come into my groups are very wounded in one or more of the parts, the quadrants, I call them. There's a yin and a yang of roots and a yin and a yang of wings. The yin aspect of roots is love, as you see in the bottom of the model there. Many of the people are wounded, deeply wounded in this aspect of love. If you were raised in a home where you were not nurtured, cared for, told that you are wonderful, you belong, that's a deep wounding to our individuality, to our personality. Similarly, the bottom right of the structure, the yang of roots, stability. Many of the people in my groups, truly, they loved their children. I got referrals, by the way, from the Child Protection System, the State Attorney's Office, and Probation Office mainly. But many of the people in my groups, they were raised in home where there were addictions, where there was just plain chaos. They loved their children, but they did not have the stability, the structure. They did not learn this growing up, a deep wound to our development. Going further around, counterclockwise, you come up to the yang of wings, our ability to control our own lives. to be in control of our lives, not be under anybody else's control, to decide what do I need in my life, what's good for me. And finally, the wounding, sometimes in the yin of wings aspect of surrender. Many of the men, especially in my groups, but women also, had this inability. They were wounded in their ability to surrender, to just acquiesce, to relax, to chill. All healing of wounds, as they learned in groups, begins in surrender and love. And you'll see this in the model. When we're able to surrender, when we're able to love deeply and dearly, we can access our higher power. We can learn to co-create with the divine, with others. We learn coherence, synchronicity. You see it there. The mind consciousness. This is all part. I'm not going to go in great detail here. Just want to give you the background of what this is about because it relates to our wholeness. This is the way of wholeness. I will continue. I have my notes here, so I'm going to keep on referring to my notes. This is continuing to morph. I started this model actually in 1990. I was given a grant by the state of Florida to do parenting groups. It was called Roots and Wings, the Balance of Healthy Parenting back then. So I've been working on this model for 35 years. It's now morphed again so I can use it with Rocking Wholeness. This is what it's looking like right now. I'm bringing in aspects that are non-forensic. I can do this now outside of the court auspices and bring in our sacred activism. I could bring in different concepts. You see, I've added Dharma, which is our purpose. And I'll be making many videos about our Dharma in the future, and compassion, the metta aspect. So this is where it's morphing right now into the current model. More on this to come. It's not just about understanding, it's also about skills. Certainly, I'm not going to go over this in detail. These are the skills that the people in the group were getting on a regular basis. Remember, they were court ordered for 29 weeks. So I had lots of time to do these skills. The skills are mindfulness, which we're going to cover in detail today. Mindfulness, how to take a time out. If you're triggered, how to take a time out, how to breathe, relax the physiology, and how to come back and process, talk in the language of emotions from the heart. So this is that model that they get, learning the skills. Emotions equal energy in motion. What we're learning, what they learned in the group experience, and what we are learning now as a culture in science, what we are learning is that we are energetic beings. We are not made of parts. We are not made of objects. We are energetic beings. Our emotions are energy in motion. That's the E. So when we're feeling impatient, irritated, and frustrated, which we will, we will, the next level up is anger. We use these 4 skills so we never jump into the next level where we become very angry and have what's known as an anger reaction. And I ask in group, what do you notice about the word anger reaction? You notice that it becomes one. We go right from the anger into the reaction. That's when people get hurt. That's when we make poor decisions, when we come from this reactive space. So we use these 4 skills so we never jump again back into the anger reaction. We cannot afford to have another anger reaction. I've got a whole another handout on this. To go from the reactive to the responsive, what we're learning is the ability to respond. You see it in yellow on the one side of your page. Your ability to respond is your response ability. And that's what they learn in group. That's what we're learning. That's what I'm still learning, is a lifelong pursuit, the ability to respond. The reaction is an instinct. We're programmed, our brains from our youngest ages were programmed through what's known as a pair of ACEs, adverse childhood experiences and adverse community environments. There's a study on this, profound study. The reaction is also unconscious. What we're learning now is how to be conscious, aware, and awake, which gives us freedom of choice. We're learning to reprogram our brains and our nervous system. And it was really wonderful in group to be able to introduce people that have never heard these concepts. Neuroplasticity and epigenetics. We have the ability to rewire our brains, our nervous system. Again, I'm not going into detail on these right now. I may in future videos that I'll be making. We're learning to be proactive and co-creative. The skill itself, being mindful. Remember, this presentation today is about mindfulness and wholesome living. Being mindful is also called witness, and I'm going to show you after this slide where the witness lives. Really important part of what we're learning here today. The skill itself. Practice and cultivate mindful watching of your behaviors, your body language, your thoughts, beliefs, urges, your cravings. Becoming mindful of our intentions, our attitude, especially our triggers, especially what triggers us, our wounds and our strengths, our energy field, our feelings. Know thyself. I go into great detail about this in the groups themselves when I was working with the people in the groups. Know thyself deeply. Next point in being mindful, be non-judgmental of yourself and others. It's all energy and information. That's what we're made of. Energy and information. This is the new understanding. It's science. In indigenous traditions, we're learning we're made of energy and information. We're connected with a living earth. We're connected with the cosmos, the intelligence of the universe. Watch with detachment and curiosity your anger and fear, as well as your happiness and appreciation. Then discover your depth, which is wisdom and compassion, from opening up to your innermost self, your essence. You may remember essence from the yin aspect. The ego was from our yang aspect. The essence is from our yin aspect. Really embracing our essence, the depth of who we are. And then decide your next behaviors from this place of deep knowing and compassion with your health, wholeness, and freedom, and your partners and children's safety and emotional well-being in mind. I summarize it in this way. I never wrote this, and I've got to write this. Mindfulness is a platform upon which to see a greater expanse of reality, not just within you, but around you. Let me repeat that. This is important. Mindfulness is a platform upon which to see a greater expanse of reality, not just within you, but around you. I'm next going to go to a model that is really important to me. It's a model of psychosynthesis. It's a mode of treatment written by an Italian psychiatrist, Roberto Assagioli, in the early part of the 1900s and mid 1900s. It's an important model to me personally. I share my story in the group setting. When I returned from Vietnam, I'm an ex-Marine Vietnam veteran. When I returned from Vietnam, I was a very wounded young man. I had many addictions. I was bitter, etc. I started my family back then centered in a lot of woundedness. And I eventually addressed my addictions and went into therapy for many years. This was the therapy I went into, psychosynthesis. The universe brought me into this. So this is an example of synchronicity. It shaped my life, determined a lot of who I am today. So I'm going to explain about the model of psychosynthesis. What you're seeing here is a big blue circle. In the middle of the blue circle, you see a smaller orange or red circle. And in the middle of that circle, there's a star. That's the conscious self, the I, where we're looking out into the world from our own unique perspective. We look out into our field of consciousness. It's unique for every person, our field of consciousness. You cannot see the world through my eyes. I cannot see the world through your eyes. I don't know what you've experienced in life. Surrounding our field of consciousness is a middle unconscious. Let me give you a couple examples that I gave in group. The middle unconscious, think for a moment. Take a moment, just breathe. I want you to think of a teacher that affected you, that really had an influence of you, maybe when you were in middle school or in high school, a teacher that really influenced you in some way. Okay, you probably have that by now. A second example is think back even further. Think of the first car you remember your parents owning. What was the color of that car? Now, the question I pose, were you thinking of that teacher before you entered this group experience, this Zoom? Were you thinking of that teacher today at all? Were you thinking at all of that car today, this week? Probably not. But they're in your middle unconscious. This is easy information to access, easy images to access. They're in our middle unconscious. Below the middle unconscious is the lower unconscious. This is the home of the wounded child. These are memory, images, impressions that are more difficult to access because they're attached often to pain, to shame, to icky feelings, the feelings we don't want to access again. The wounded child lives in there. This is the home of the shadow, the information that's repressed within us. According to this model, psychosynthesis, above the middle unconscious is the higher unconscious, also called the superconscious. This is the home of the witness. Remember, mindfulness is also called witness. This is where the witness lives, and it's our easiest access to our higher self, our essence, our God self, our Buddha mind, our Christ self, whatever you wish to call this. It could be my potential. It could be my love body, whatever is comfortable for you. This is our access by developing witness. I'll remark also within the higher consciousness is our creativity. For those of us that are artists, we can access this by really being able to drop into our higher unconscious. There's many parts of our potentiality that live in this unconsciousness, this higher unconsciousness. Make sure I got everything covered in here in my notes. Yeah, doing good. The stages and goal of psychosynthesis. Number one, a thorough knowledge of one's personality. Control over its various elements, the different selves that we bring into our personality structure. Then a realization of one's true self. It's the discovery or the creation of this unifying center. And psychosynthesis is the formation or reconstruction of the personality around this new center. I'm going to back up on the slide, see if I do this correctly. The point here is most people are centered on our woundedness. I didn't use the pronoun your, our. Many, many people in our culture, in the world, are centered on our woundedness. To grow into our wholeness, we use the skill of mindfulness, breathing, be able to relax the physiology, emotional self-regulation, how to process, talk in the language of emotions. And I'll have other videos on these other skills at some point in the near future. Rocking wholeness. Being able to come from that higher self, being able to really internalize this, to be able to use skills, to be able to go there. So we're no longer centered in our woundedness. Yes, I can still access that point. It's still within me. I'm not in denial about it. It's still there. I can access it. And I do. I get triggered. I do. I think we all do. This is not what's called a spiritual bypass, pretending that it's not there. We've got to look at that woundedness within and within our culture. We've got to be able to see that. So back from whence we began, mindfulness and the path to wholesome living. Going back to the mantra of the model, health, whole, holy, home. To access that part of ourselves. To grok wholeness, to live centered in that higher aspect of self, our essence. Being healthy, whole, holy. And then bringing it home. Home to our families, home to our community, home to our culture, in relationship with the living earth. And this is all an aspect of grokking wholeness. This is where we're evolving right now as a species, individually and culturally and globally, where we are going as a species to really become whole, holy, and healthy, and then bringing it home. More to say on this. Again, encourage and urge you all, please go check out the website, grokkingwholeness.info. Subscribe. You'll learn a lot from my peers on this. There's a lot of information going to be coming at you on this from my esteemed peers, who I'm just so proud to be in a group with, sharing this information. So with that, let me stop the share here. Come back, here I am, and wishing you the very best. I ended all of my groups, by the way, for the 14 years of doing groups. I ended all of my group sessions for all those years with namaste, namaste, and taught people in the groups. What does that mean, namaste? It's the God or the Christ, the living potential within me, recognizes and honors that within you, the God within you, recognizing that we are one, we are whole, we are holy. So with that, I end this session. Namaste.